Teddy Covers coming in live from Las Vegas, Nevada. Teddy Covers, how you doing on this Thursday morning?
I'm doing all right, Jimmy. How about yourself, man? Good to see you back. I enjoyed Babano here, but it's the Jimmy the Bag show, dude. Good to have you back.
Thank you, my friend. I'm pumped. And we have such an enormous time of year coming up, especially when we add college basketball season to the mix. So I feel refreshed, and I'm ready to go full steam ahead for the next few months, as focused as possible, and just excited to be here. But I really do feel refreshed, and it's a rare feeling for me. So I'm looking forward to hammering action with you and with all these great cappers in the chat. Before we get into college football, Teddy Covers, Thursday nighter, Redskins, Vikings, and I'm a little surprised at what I've been seeing from the cappers in the chat and on Twitter. I've been seeing two plays. I've been seeing people taking the Vikings first half, and I've been seeing people taking the Redskins full game. And to me, watching Callahan coach, I don't know why people don't think the Vikings aren't going to win by 25 points here. I don't know why people are focusing on the first half and not just saying, look, Vikings are going to smash this Redskins team. And I've not been seeing it. So I'd love to hear what you think about this spot. Thursday night football, Redskins at Minnesota. There are 17s on the board, so the 16.5s are moving towards being extinct. 17's at BetOnline and Bookmaker, and the total opened at 41, now 42. Teddy Covers, Thursday night football, Redskins, Vikings.
Yeah, the 16.5s are still in Vegas. The 17s are primarily offshore right now, so there is a little bit of a dichotomy there. I'm not even close to getting involved in this game. I mean, this is how I know I'm not close, all right? If it was Minnesota minus 20, 3-point move off this line, I still don't want the Redskins. If it's Minnesota minus 14, I still don't want the Vikings. So when you talk about a 3-point move off of these numbers, I'm still not inclined. The bottom feeders in the NFL and in college football, you can find the occasional spot. Once in a while you say, oh, well, this is, they're catching 31 and they shouldn't be. Or in the NFL, oh, they're catching 17 and they shouldn't be. But in this instance, they probably should be. Washington is a bad team on both sides of the football. They're not a squad. Interim head coach, Adrian Peterson, not right. I don't know how the Redskins move the football tonight. That being said, Minnesota, the short week, the winning by margin. I mean, the Vikings win this game by 10. They're happy. They'll run the ball all fourth quarter and punt and get out of town. So it's not a situation where I'm expecting Minnesota to push pace or push margin. I guess if I had to make a free bet on the game, I would look under. It's not like we've seen a whole lot of overs in these TV games at any point this season, particularly on Thursday nights. But same story with Sunday nights and Monday nights. It's been under. And I don't trust Washington to score, and I don't look at Minnesota to run the football, to run up the score. So the slightest of leans towards the under here. But, I'm involved in NBA tonight. I'm involved in college football. The NFL game, not particularly attractive for this bettor.
I understand that. Bob Taylor saying no Chris Thompson for the Skins. Jim Rummy found a plus 17.5 at minus 108. David H saying Teddy correct on bad teams. Little hint that you have some NBA that you're interested in. We have discussed these three games. What caught your attention in NBA this evening?
Oh, I bet the Bucks plus 2 against the Rockets. I thought that was, I trust Milwaukee to be ready game one, day one. Dominant preseason. 7 of their top 9 contributors back from last year. I trust Milwaukee. I like Milwaukee on the road. I like Milwaukee catching points. Houston has most of their key pieces back, but the piece that changed is a pretty big piece. When you're talking about, okay, now it's Russell Westbrook handling the basketball and Russell Westbrook running the offense. And we've seen from D'Antoni often enough now, he doesn't have his team ready. They're not ready for game one. I bet against them last year, game one, easy. I bet against them for the first month last year, and it was pretty easy. I'll bet against the Rockets tonight. I think Milwaukee wins the game.
I'm very excited to watch it. And we hammer NBA hard on this show, and 2 consecutive winning years with everybody working together. And but the same, I know that it's important to have consistency with your records, and we were up barely year one. I was down here 9.82 units. Last year we got plus teens. So we're moving in the right direction, but I want more. So I'm excited, very excited to hear that you're going to be hammering NBA with us. Steve says, please thank Teddy for the Brooklyn over last night. So Steve giving love to Teddy Covers. Tom Ricci, thank you, my friend. And is that your only look on the NBA card?
That's the only thing I played tonight. It was the only thing I was really close to playing tonight. I don't know what the Warriors are going to. I mean, of all the teams in the NBA, I was really excited to see Oklahoma City last night because I could not picture in my mind what the Thunder were going to look like, and they actually looked pretty good. They looked better than I thought they were going to. I upped. I put a power rating for Oklahoma City, like, okay, I think they might be around here, and I upped it after last night, even though they lost. But the other team that I'm like, what the heck is this team going to look like? Are the Warriors. I don't know what the Warriors are going to look like. I wouldn't be surprised they win by 20. I wouldn't be surprised if they lose by 20. That's a team that is watch and learn, not a team that I'm coming to the season like, oh, I know exactly what I'm going to do with Golden State. I don't. And Detroit, Atlanta, in general, I want to be betting against teams on their very first back-to-back of the season. Just the first one. But that first back-to-back teams come, especially coming off a win. So in general, yeah, it'd be Atlanta plus here. The problem is my numbers don't show it. I was talking about the Hawks, the team I want to be betting on, not at +1, +1.5 in Detroit. I was, at +3.5 or 4, I probably would have been interested in Atlanta here. This point spread is, I'm not looking to force plays the first week of the season. It's all right. Let's see if my opinion's right on the Hawks as being a bet on squad. But there's certainly no need to go. This is of all, we talk about baseball as a marathon, not a sprint. NBA is the ultimate marathon, not a sprint, because the season lasts longer than the baseball season. So it's for week one, game one. If you miss a bet, you're going to get 15 more tries with that team before the markets catch up. It's not a sport where the markets adjust very quickly after the first few games. So that's all I played. I didn't like the number for Atlanta. I have no idea what to expect with Golden State. So all I have tonight in my pocket is Milwaukee plus the deuce.
Milwaukee plus the deuce. Very interesting. I'm very excited to be hammering NBA with you all season long. We have a couple questions from the chat. I'm going to have to switch gears quickly. Because Lehner has been announced as a starting goaltender for the Blackhawks, and we know what Elliott's doing right now. The Flyers are having a tough time scoring, and I'm putting my perfect record of unders in NHL this season on the line by taking the under 6.5. It's -115 market. Intertops is at -120, as is Bovada and William Hill. Everywhere else is at 115. Under 6.5 and -115. Flyers, Blackhawks, and putting my undefeated record on unders. That's another thing we're doing, Teddy, this year is I'm breaking up in my best sports, NHL and NBA, breaking up all our records for money line spreads, unders, overs, to see exactly what we're excelling at, because I want to do better than I've been doing. Okay, so that just grabbed the under. And an interesting question here from our Joe Anisi, and it's not to us, but I would love to hear your thoughts on this. And Joe Anisi is saying, do I hedge my plus 1,800 on the Nats to win the series bet? And I'd like to hear what you have to say about it, because one possible look is to... Now, the Astros are two big favorites probably in each game, which is too bad, because you'd think that it's too bad. I would love to back. I would like, at that point, once the Nats are up 2-0, you could take the Astros in every game. What do you think about hedging a plus 1,800 on the Nats to win the World Series? Would you hedge it? How would you handle it?
So there's two options. And there really are. And in my mind, there's only two options on this. All right. You take your one option, and this is particular if you're relatively short bankrolled, and you want to make sure you lock in some profit here. You have a plus 1,800 on the Nats. You might want to put 1 or 2 units on the Astros at, what do they get, plus 220, plus 225 right now. And then you're locked in a profit both ways. And you don't worry about the rest of the series. That's option number one. And I wouldn't talk you out of that option. All that said, you have the Nats at plus 1,800. Don't worry about it, bro. This is when you hedge that bet. All right. If it was me, You hedge that bet when the Nats have 3 losses and are on the verge of elimination. Until that time, you hold that plus 1,800 in your pocket and you get ready to cash it because Washington's winning this series. That's my take.
There you go. There's Teddy covers take. So actually, it all depends on if you feel like the Astros have a chance of coming back.
I see. I'm going to disagree. It depends on 2 things, Jimmy. It depends on how big. If you have if you're not worried about this particular score, if your bankroll is flush, and winning or losing is not going to make this long shot bet is not going to make a big difference in your life or your bankroll and off the bat, you don't do a damn thing with it. You hold that bet, and then if Washington falls behind 3-2, or the game's at 3-3, the series is 3-3, then you can decide what to do in Game 7. But if you like the Astros now, if you think there's value on the Astros now, if you legitimately like that bet, then you should make the hedge right here. But I would never hedge making a bet that I don't like. And I'm like, I'm just going to lock something in. If I don't like the second bet, I ain't making the second bet. I'm going to hold my positive expectation first bet before I start to drain that profit away. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes a ton of sense. Makes a ton of sense. All right, let's move on to SMU Houston, and then I'll get an idea of what else you've locked in on this card. Big game tonight. We've read the tweets of the seniors that have been let go by this Cougar team, saying that this team is giving up on the season and giving up on their own players and all this drama coming in. And SMU rolling along, playing great football. You can get SMU minus 13.5 right now. It opened at 13, and this total continues to creep up. It opened at 63. Let me grab it right now. Opened at 63.5 at Pinnacle, and it's now at 65.5 across the board. Teddy, you making the move on SMU Houston?
Yeah, I made 5 bets for Monday. You said we were going to start the show. You're going to ask me those 5 bets. You never asked me.
I said one of them was when we started NCAA football, I would ask you those 5 bets. So
yeah, I made 5 bets on Monday, and you're like, "What are the plays?" I'm going to open the show asking you that. So I wrote, but one of those bets was SMU minus 13.5, which looked brilliant when the line went to 14.5, and now doesn't look quite so brilliant as the lines come back to 13.5. The line moved based on the quarterback situation for Houston. There was some concern that they were going to be down to the 3rd and 4th stringers, a true frosh in Holgerson's son, and then the other kid who can't throw at all but is a Wildcat quarterback. But now it looks like the 2nd stringer, Toon, is going to be able to play. That's why the money's come on the Cougars, and it does make their offense better. I don't think it makes it better enough. And, again, when you get out-yarded by 150 at UConn, all right, the week before, who was that? Cincinnati came to town. And I understand that Houston was live to cover that game and was covering late in the 4th quarter before a little bit of a fluky ending. I had Houston in that game. They were the wrong side. Every point they scored was fluke play, trick play, since he took the lead and kind of fell asleep. And defensively, Houston's going to have a hard time against Shane Buechele. And I don't look at this offense as being an offense that can trade points with SMU right now. So for me, it was, plain and simple. SMU gets a chance to show their stuff on national TV. They're going to do it. Mustangs minus 13.5. That was my take.
And it's the same as Babano's here. Same as Babano's. Interesting. Yeah, so it got to 14.5, didn't it, here at Pinnacle? Wow. Okay. And what are people seeing with Houston? Why are people backing them with all the drama that's going on in the locker room? What could be an argument for the other side?
Well, so the money that's coming, it was open 13.5, bet up to 14.5, bet back down to 13.5. The money coming for Houston is all about the quarterback. There was a significant concern that they were going to be down to, Holgerson's son is not a capable quarterback yet. He's not. And the other kid, he really can't throw a lick. He's a heck of a runner. They can run out of the Wildcat, but I don't know if that works against this defense. But the money coming on the Cougs is certainly quarterback related. The other case that you can make for Houston is this is an SMU team. All of a sudden, the pressure's on them, the bullseye's on them, the spotlight's on them. And it's not a team that's used to being in these situations. And many times teams crash and burn as the pressure ratchets, throughout October into November. So you can make a case for Houston in that regard, that SMU is just not, the program's not at this caliber to be withstanding the spotlight. And that's reasonable. I just think the other side, that when I grade out these two teams, SMU is a heck of a lot better than Houston. And right now, they're not a team I have any interest in stepping in front of.
Agreed. Both guys on SMU minus 13.5. I think I may pull the trigger with you guys. What were your other looks on Monday, Teddy?
So I played betting number 170, Iowa State minus 8.5. That number got bet up right away. I haven't done anything with it since. I bet number 187, Texas +1. That number too has moved fairly significantly. At +3, I might get off it. I don't know that I'm going to. I bet betting number 191, Virginia -3. It looked brilliant. It went up to 3.5, and now it's back down to 3 at a lot of places. I still like the Cavs. That's one of the better bets that I've seen this week. And I took Arizona State -2.5, betting number 209. I am officially off that bet. I put UCLA +4 in my pocket this morning. So I've got the 3 and the 4 working for me middle-wise. And that was one that the more I rethought and the more I was reading, there might be a spark here from UCLA. What we saw last week where the team, outperformed their season-long ATS by a wide margin. That was a team coming off a bye, looking at the second half of the campaign, saying we can still do something. And as this team came on Arizona State, I got more and more reluctant on that wager. I wouldn't be surprised if UCLA gives them a game. So I bet Arizona State early. I'm off of it now with UCLA, and hopefully serve my purposes very well if that game lands 3 or 4. I hope the Sun Devils win, but it's close. I made one additional wager this morning, and that is Charlotte, North Texas over 63.5, betting number 197, 198. Charlotte's defense against North Texas offense, that's a mismatch. And I don't see the Mean Green stopping the 49ers on the ground either. So I really see this as there's going to be big plays in this game. There's going to be touchdowns, not field goals in this game. That's one that has stood out to me from a total standpoint. And I haven't done it yet, but I'm probably I expect to pull the trigger on Western Kentucky this morning. +5.5 still available at Marshall. Reading the quotes from that team, that's a confident football team right now. Marshall needs to run to win, and no one's running on Western Kentucky right now. That's an elite defense by CUSA standards. So I expect to be on Western plus the points. Hilltoppers plus the points. That's the bet. Again, I haven't made it yet, but I'll have it this morning. That'll be in my pocket.
All right, locking this all in. Raven in the Desert liking Charlotte plus the points in that spot against North Texas. What do you think of a side there?
I wouldn't talk you out of it. It's not Charlotte's not a team that I trust to get stops. And if I'm not trusting you to get stops, I'm not backing you in this point spread range.
All right. Okay. Getting everything written down here. All right, let's move on. I'd love to know, I've missed some of your breakdowns. Feel free to start rolling in questions anytime for Teddy to answer. But the first game I'd love to hear a look on is this big game, Wisconsin, Ohio State. Ohio State hanging 14, the total opening up at 49.5. It's creeped up to 50 at a few books. Wisconsin, Ohio State. Teddy, what are you thinking here?
I would only take the Buckeyes. All right. Wisconsin, and I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in myself for not having an Illinois ticket in my pocket last week. Of all the things I missed, that was one I was most frustrated on because you know me. I've not been high on Wisconsin this season. And I'm still not high on Wisconsin this season. And I'm disappointed they lost the game. I wish they would have just not covered, and it'd have been tight or something, but they lost the game. I don't believe in the Badgers, okay? I don't believe in the offense. I don't think Cohn's all that. Taylor with the key fumble, he didn't look right in that game last week. Defensively, Wisconsin's numbers are through the roof. They faced every right team at the right time they possibly could. Ohio State is a juggernaut. All right, this isn't your average good team. This isn't your average great team. This is a team that is on a mission. They are throttling everybody. I will not step in front of the Buckeyes against a team. Again, if Wisconsin falls behind, what do? They really going to chuck the football around against the Buckeyes defense? Mm-mm. Ohio State or pass. Clear Ohio State or pass for me. I do not want this underdog.
Ohio State or pass. We have questions rolling in. Tommy Bolt, Teddy, what are your thoughts on Auburn, LSU? LSU opening up at -11. Now there's 10.5s and 10s. This total opening up at 58.5. Now 59.5. Teddy covers. Teddy, Auburn, LSU.
So I lean LSU. I will not. I haven't pulled the trigger, and I'm not going to pull the trigger. Maybe the line's not going to get low enough for me to pull the trigger. No. Auburn's a really good defense to be catching double digits. And this is one game where LSU is not going to have a dominant showing in the trenches. Auburn's every bit as good as LSU, offensive and defensive lines. So Burrow might be under pressure this week. And Burrow's had a clean pocket all year. And that's the key to the handicap. If Burrow's got a clean pocket, Auburn's in trouble because there's no way Auburn's trading points with LSU. No, it's just not going to happen. So, not no way, but highly unlikely, I would think. And when I watched Auburn, I understand they won at A&M. Nick didn't play well. The Florida game stands out to me for Auburn, where they just, the offense just couldn't get it done, and the defense eventually wore down. And that worries me here for the underdog in this one. There's a modest correlation between side and total in this game. If Auburn's going to cover, I think it stays under the total, and that's the stronger of the two correlations. So if you do like under, I would take, or do like Auburn, I might put that in a two-teamer with the under, because if LSU's in the 30s and 40s in here, Auburn's going to have a rough game. Not a game I'm going to bet.
Not a game you're going to bet. More questions and thoughts coming in. Noli knows the man making unders great again is on the Missouri-Kentucky under 157, 158 rotation number. It opened up at 48 all the way down to 45 or 44.5. I guess the value's gone on that under. What do you think of the Missouri-Kentucky under?
Yeah, from the opener, I wouldn't talk you out of it. I don't know how Kentucky scores. Kentucky, that is a very limited offense right now, to put it mildly. And Missouri's, Kelly Bryant has been very comfortable playing in Columbia. He's looked very awkward outside of Columbia, on several occasions. So conceptually, it makes a ton of sense to me. The problem, of course, that Missouri's going to play with pace. And if Missouri plays with pace, there's a chance they could rout this squad, but I wouldn't talk you out of it. Not a bet that I'm making.
Questions coming in from Dutch Boy Fresh, amongst others, says, can you ask Teddy about Notre Dame, Michigan? Total opened up at 48.5, now up to 51 or 51.5, or 52 at Heritage. Michigan opening up as favorites, -2.5, and now the Irish at -1. Teddy, Notre Dame, Michigan.
So of all the line moves this week, I have to say this is probably the most predictable. We knew the money was going to come for Notre Dame. Notre Dame came, and the money came from Notre Dame from the opener. The money has continued to show for the Fighting Irish, and you can understand it. And obviously, given Michigan's struggles as they try to step up in class, it's certainly, I can understand all the Irish money. And given that this has not been a series where there's been any kind of home field advantage, you can look long-term, Michigan, Notre Dame. There's no home field edge in this series. So it's not like the big house brings anything special for the Wolverines this weekend. And yet, even though Michigan lost last week, they showed me. They were down 21-0 on their way to another ass-kicking like they had at Wisconsin. And they dug deep, and they fought back, and they rallied, and they had a chance to win the game. Didn't get it done, but they had a chance, and that's something that we haven't seen. And that's, I talked earlier in the week about how I didn't want Nevada. We're talking about Nevada against Wyoming. And I'm like, when a team quits once, it's not the first quit, it's the second quit that tells you that they're dead. And then you don't want them as big dogs against anyone. So Michigan had the bad game against Wisconsin. The fact that they didn't react the same way to adversity this time, to me, is a bet-on sign. And honestly, it's time for Michigan to beat a top team. I think they're as good as the Notre Dame. If I had to play it, I'd probably take the Wolverines plus. but I'm no rush. It's been nothing but Notre Dame money, but I'm not going to play this game. Someone's going to win this game by a field goal at the end, and that's just how it feels to me. Fun game to watch, tough one to bet on.
Moses Saucedo, our guy Moses, asking about San Jose State Army 111-112. Army opening up at -10, now 9s and 9.5s, and this total has shot up from 50.5. It's now at 54 at Heritage U Wager and Bookmaker. San Jose State Army, Teddy.
Yes, I can understand the move to the over, because one would think that San Jose should have some success throwing the football in this ball game. And if they're throwing the football around, they're live to cover, and the game's much more likely to go over. I'm not convinced the Spartans' defense is built to stop Army's option. I'm not convinced of that at all. I understand they face Air Force, and I also understand that it's not necessarily an easy matchup for them. Army's been, they've been burning their backers' money in recent weeks after that hot start. And everyone remembers what they did in the Big House and took the Wolverines to the wire. Since that time, they've been consistent money losers. And, a lot of it, they're not winning turnover margins. The defense isn't getting off the field. The offense isn't showing explosiveness. And San Jose has a lot of that stuff. The other thing that's impressed me about the Spartans, but that concerns me about them in this game, San Jose's defense has been forcing turnovers week in, week out. They're a positive turnover differential team. Army's not going to make those kind of mistakes. Army doesn't turn the ball over. So that is my biggest concern here about the Spartans. Not a game I'm going to play. A game I've looked at a fair bit. And as I looked at it a fair bit, around and around. And when you go around and around, all right, we'll look for other options. This isn't one of these weeks in college football where I don't even know if I'm going to have any ads off of what I gave you. I mean, it's not a week where I'm peppering the board. A lot of games I've looked at and been like, yeah, but this is one of them.
Matt Randall's Mondays plays Ball State -3, Louisiana Tech -18, Penn State -5, Texas -1, Weekend Taint, FIU and MTSU under 59.5. I've got those copied and pasted, and we'll be asking Teddy about it throughout the next couple days. Datfire TV says, can you ask Teddy his thoughts on Oklahoma? Rotation number 181, 182. Oklahoma, Kansas State. Kansas State opening as 20.5-point dogs. Now 23.5 for 24. This total's dropped a point from 58.5 to 57.5. Oklahoma, Kansas State, Teddy.
So, I had the opportunity to talk to a couple of bookmakers in town this past week. And asked, what team's been killing you, And the answers were the same. It was Oklahoma and Ohio State are the two teams that have hurt us the most this year. Oklahoma and Ohio State. Alabama's the third. And this game, too, we're seeing nothing but, you talk about open 20.5. Now we're looking at 23.5 with the Sooners. Oklahoma's like Ohio State in that they haven't been priced correctly from day one. And better on both sides of the football, particularly on the defense side of the football, than the markets gave them credit for. Their statistical profile is through the roof. And the final scores for Oklahoma have matched that statistical profile. If you made money with the Sooners over the first half of the season, congratulations. Good for you. I hope you made a bunch of money with that squad. Over the back half of the campaign, Oklahoma's going 3-3, 2-4 ATS. They are not going to continue to cover at this range. Their statistical profile is legitimately too good. And that's what's creating all this Sooner steam. K-State impressed me last week. I didn't think they could beat TCU, and they did. They made stops on defense. They moved the ball when they had to on offense. I'm not betting them, but if I had to play it, I would rather have K-State plus and Oklahoma minus this week. That number's already been steamed up, and it's only going to go higher. If you do like Oklahoma, I bet it's sooner rather than later.
Raven in the Desert also on K-State at +24. Okay, questions coming in fast and furious, and not a lot of time left. Friday nighter, USC Colorado here. USC Colorado from AM Moneyline, amongst others. Wanting to know your thoughts here. USC opening up at -12, now 13.5. This total's jumped up from 61.5 to 64, 64.5, or even 65 at Bookmaker. Friday night special, USC Colorado, Teddy.
So I'm not going to play it. I know this. I don't want Colorado. Remember Colorado last year, down the stretch, they had no depth, and the energy wasn't there, and they just got blown out game after game after game. So here we are, it's a year later, and Colorado has no depth, and injuries everywhere, and a new coaching staff, and they've shown remarkably little fight the last 2 weeks. They do not match up well against USC. And I understand they're back at home, and they'll have the crowd support in Boulder, and, I don't want Colorado. All that said, you think I'm going to lay 2 touchdowns with the Trojans on the road? No, I don't. Do I trust USC to not only win, but win by margin in a hostile environment like that, even against a defense that's reeling? I don't. If I had to play, it'd be USC, but I don't have to play this one. I'm not close. Pass.
Understandably so here. Okay, more questions coming in quickly, fast, and furious. We had somebody back. Sorry, not somebody. Well, why don't we move on? We have inundated with questions about Penn State, Michigan State. Penn State opening up at -6, now 6.5. This total opening up at 43.5, now 43s across the board. Teddy Covers, everybody wondering what you think about Penn State, Michigan State.
So I'm waiting for a 7 with Sparty. I'll buy Sparty at +7. Mother of all spots. Think about Michigan State. Michigan State is not a hopeless program. They're not way down. They went on the road and got smacked by the 2 of the elite teams in the conference. They came home. They had a bye week. They're rested and ready. All right. They beat Penn State last year. They beat Penn State the year before that. Now, Penn State's on the other end of that spectrum from a spot. Again, 2 bad losses, coach we trust, extra time to prepare. That's a bet-on situation playing for a home dog. All right. Then we look at the other team. Back-to-back barn burners, down to the wire, huge games, national TV, physical games. Now you got to go on the road and lay points. And now you're getting steamed up, and it's going to be a touchdown. It's 6.5 now. I'm waiting for a 7. I don't want Penn State, Michigan State, or pass for this better. And at 7, I'll be a buyer. I've been patiently waiting. It's like I've been patiently waiting for Central Michigan to get to 3. That's the other one we talked about earlier in the week that I haven't talked about because I haven't bet it yet. I keep waiting for the 3, and I'll continue to wait for the 3. If there's no 3 before kickoff, I'll probably bet it at 2.5. But Central, I'm waiting for a 3. Michigan State, I'm waiting for a 7.
Wow, very interesting stuff here. We're going to close on this. Kane in HD said, just got here, but can you ask Teddy about Clemson, Boston College? Clemson 34-point favorites, a total at 58.5. Can Boston College keep it close enough?
So my initial gut for this game was, Clemson off the back-to-back wins and covers, and if BC can run the ball even a little bit this game, they'll shorten the game. And so my initial lean was BC, and the more I thought about it, I'm like, the last 2 games, Clemson has shown a little FU potential. You know what I mean? Where they're just like, no, dude, you're not hanging with us. You're not moving the football against us. They've clicked the last 2 games in a way they haven't clicked before, and that team, I don't know that I want to step in front of that. So it's not a game I'm going to play. My initial lean was towards a dog, and the more I looked at it, the less interested I was.
Prince of the City liking the over in that spot, 58.5. Can Boston College put up enough points to get us there?
Well, that was the whole thing with I don't trust BC to score against the defense. So this game could easily be a 45-7 type of contest. And if it's 45-7, you don't want the over. There's been a lot of those. Where the favorite gets into the 40s, but the dog just can't score. And if the dog can't score, it's very difficult for these games to go over the total.
Vincent Hawkins on Clemson all day. Team total over Clemson. There you have it. Big Ragu on Penn State -6. We do have one more show with Teddy Covers. Thankfully, one more show to go over all of this. But Teddy Covers gave out a bunch of plays on Monday. SMU -13.5. Iowa State -8.5. Texas +1. Virginia -3. Arizona State now off. And he's backing UCLA. Then today he jumped on Charlotte, North Texas over, and he's thinking about getting to the window with Western Kentucky +5.5, and we will find out if he did when we see him tomorrow. Follow this man on Twitter, Teddy_covers. A lot of fun, and we love him so much on this show. Teddy, it's great to be back. Love having you on this show. Enjoy your Thursday afternoon, And now we have NBA to talk about, and soon we're going to have NCAA basketball to talk about as well. So we're going to be full of glory. Teddy, thank you so much for joining us.
Cheers, buddy. Have a great day. Thanks, Lowbaggers. Hope you guys win every single bet you make tonight, as long as you're not betting against me.
I hear that. There he is. Teddy Covers in the house.